Cisco and HashiCorp's Terraform series. Infrastructure as code, focusing on day 0 and day 1 deployments. In this video, we're going to focus on creating URL objects. You can see here we currently only have one in place, and we're going to go ahead and create maybe a couple more. So let's look at the code here. We've already shown the TF vars and the vars. I'm going to show you that on my code anyway. But here's the main.tf. And so here what we're going to do is we're looking at an existing object, and then we're going to create something similar based on that. So we're just going to append similar to it. And then there's some output. That's the gist of that code. I'm not going to exactly do that. What I want to do is just create a couple new objects and not based on anything. So here's our var.tf. Let's go ahead and cat out terraform.tf vars. And there's the data to support the variables. Let's go ahead and look at the meat of it, main.tf. All right, so here's the provider, the connection to the provider. The data at the top, we're not going to use the first two elements that came from the existing code. And what we're going to do is create a URL object called Ubuntu repos, and then some output. In the next one, we're going to do groups. I'm going to create an additional URL object to add to the group, but we'll look at that in the next video. So let's go ahead and do our initialization. And we'll go ahead and apply. Now you could, and I've mentioned this before, you could run plan first, but apply will provide you what the plan is before you execute, unless you use the auto response capability. Okay, so we can see that we're going to create a new object. We'll go ahead and hit yes. This will do the creation. Now, what's interesting here is I'm on an Intel NUC, a very small form factor device. It's running VM Workstation with VMware ESXi, and then multiple different virtual machines running on top of that. So there's the creation of it, and so that's pretty easy. We could also jump in and look at auditing as well, just to see the creation of that is logged. My point earlier about the Intel NUC is that the box is not a production box, and so I get some slowness every once in a while running it, but it runs pretty decent for what I need it for in a lab. So here's our auditing, and this is what we're creating, everything on the right side here. So the difference on the left, there's nothing, and then obviously we're creating the green in the right. All right, so now we've got our object. Let's run destroy. I've already done that. I went ahead and ran that previously and missed it on the capturing of the video. But anyways, there's the refresh of it live, and you can see it's removed. So that's it, URL objects in Terraform. In this video, we're going to look at URL objects and grouping those objects into a single URL object group. So you can see here we don't have any URL objects outside of the one that we created previously. And here what we have is the main.tf on DevNet, and we can see that they are looking at an existing object, creating a new one, and putting them into a group. We're going to create all new here. So checking out var.tf, we can see here's our variables, and then the actual data supporting those variables is in Terraform TF vars. Now let's get to the meat of it. We're going to jump into main.tf, and let's walk through this here. So we've got our provider connection to FMC, our Firepower Management Center, and we're going to create two objects. Now I'm using the same URL in both of these, but you get the idea. Then we're going to create a group, and we're going to add those two new URL objects to that group. There's a literal here. I'm not using it. This is just adding just that object directly, and then we've got some output. I will be using literals later in the network object video. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. So first thing is that we want to initialize, as always, and then we're going to run in the sudo terraform apply. I've already done the initialization in this one, But yeah, let's just jump to it. Here's the output. Remember, when you do apply, it does include plan. And so you've got an option here to look at what you're doing. You can see these are all creations. You can say no at this point and not move forward. So we're going to go ahead and say yes. And now we're going through the process of creating those objects programmatically using Terraform. Nice thing about Terraform, it keeps track of it, right? We've seen this many, many times that we can go in and quickly destroy what we've created. So let's refresh here and let's have a look. And look at that. There's 1, 2, there's the objects, there's the URL, and look, they've been added to that group that we also created. So perfect. I'm not going to show auditing here. We've seen that many, many different times. I'm going to be a little bit more sparingly with it. Just so, you know, the ones that have been following along, you know, don't have to go through it each and every time. And obviously you can skip. That's the beauty of video. So we ran destroy. We did the auto response. So it doesn't ask us. And you can see it's just going to remove everything that we've created. And hopefully it's successful here. And we're going to find out in a second. And we're coming up. It says it destroyed 3 elements here. Let's have a look. Jump back, and there's the original. So it didn't touch the one that we had, and I lied. We're going to jump in real quick to check auditing. So fast forward if you've seen it before, but I just want to show you even the deletion is being tracked here. So you can see we're deleting these objects in sequence. And that's the other thing that Terraform does is keep track of how and what should be removed and when. So an object in use is not going to be, you're not going to be able to remove it. So you have some dependency there. And that's it.